An exchange of blows is underway between Tehran and Tel Aviv. Iranian nuclear facilities and military bases have been bombed for over 24 hours. Iran responded with a nighttime attack on Israel. Several waves of missile strikes hit residential buildings, mainly in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. There are at least several dozen casualties on both sides. Tehran has also warned Israel's allies that further assistance in repelling Iran's attacks will be considered an act of joining the war. The first strike took place shortly after 8 p.m. Polish time. By midnight, Iran had fired several hundred missiles and drones, which struck targets throughout Israel. Although most of the missiles were intercepted by anti-aircraft systems and the so-called Iron Dome, some of them broke through the defenses and reached their targets. We see the destruction, but nothing will stop us. We must continue our mission and eliminate those who attack us. Nothing will stop us. We will continue with all our strength moving forward. The rocket attacks on Israel continue. After several waves during the night, Iran fired another salvo in the morning. However, this did not change Tel Aviv's stance, which continues to carry out bombing raids on Iran. In the west and center of the country, Israel has gained air superiority and dominance over Tehran. We are continuing the two main efforts we have defined for ourselves, defensive and offensive efforts. I remind everyone that we are facing a dangerous and complex enemy. We must maintain a very high level of readiness. There will be even more difficult moments, and we must be prepared for the various scenarios we have anticipated. In the media, there are warnings of a possible Iranian nuclear response. However, it is not known whether Iran has such capabilities at all. Iran's supreme leader has called on his compatriots to resist Israel. According to Tehran, Israel's attack was unjustified. Life will become bitter for them, without a doubt. They should not think that they have struck and that is the end of it. No, they started it and caused the war. We will not let them get away unscathed after the great crime they have committed. Iran also sent a message to Israel's allies, the United States, Great Britain, and France, who are helping to repel the missile attacks. Shooting down Iranian missiles will be considered an act of war, and therefore your military bases in the Middle East will become targets for our armed forces. However, the West believes that Iran was close to building an atomic bomb, which gave Israel the right to launch a preemptive strike. If Israel were to be attacked in retaliation by Iran, France, given its influence, and if it were in a position to do so, would participate in operations to protect and defend Israel. And I have indicated our readiness in this regard. Conversely, I have no plans to participate in any offensive operation whatsoever. The Israeli armed forces have announced that they will respond today with massive airstrikes in retaliation for last night's missile attack. There is no indication that either side will back down without a response this time. The Israeli attack and Iranian retaliation are causing great concern, not only in the war-torn region, but around the world. Israel's closest ally, the United States, tried to prevent this exchange of missile strikes, but Tehran did not engage in talks to end its nuclear weapons program. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, in a conversation with the president of Israel, called on both sides to de-escalate. However, French President Emmanuel Macron pointed out who the aggressor is here. Iran is responsible for destabilizing the entire region. It is this country that has sponsored Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and rejoiced at the terrorist attacks on Israel. Tehran's response was not long in coming. The country's ruling ayatollahs have already threatened attacks on American, British, and French military bases in the region. These threats triggered a reaction from NATO allies.
we don't need an escalation in a region which is already so heated in so many ways. For the regional reasons, of course, but also for the risk for spreading problems around the world. So we call for de-escalation, but obviously it is the countries in the region that make their own decisions on that.
The situation in the region is very complicated. Many other countries that have scores to settle with Israel, such as Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon, would be eager to join the exchange of fire between Tehran and Tel Aviv.
The leaders of Hezbollah in Lebanon, the dynamic is this, is once you take out some key figures who are part of the decision-making process, it actually may stymie efforts to get them to agree to much of anything. So we could be in an early phase of a kinetic operation that will continue to exact cost for Iran and corner them even more.
The threat is growing, which is why many countries, including Poland, are advising their citizens in the Middle East to exercise extreme caution or even leave dangerous areas. An important appeal to everyone. If anyone is in the Middle East, we urge them to return to Poland as soon as possible, if they do not have to be there. And of course, there have already been recommendations not to travel to this region. The UN is calling for de-escalation. During an audience at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV addressed both sides of the conflict with an appeal. The situation in Iran and Israel has seriously deteriorated. At this delicate moment, I renew my call for responsibility and reason. The commitment to building a safe world, free of nuclear weapons, must be based on respect and sincere dialogue. For now, however, the only signals Tehran and Tel Aviv are sending each other are through hundreds of missiles and drones, which does not bode well for a ceasefire or peace talks. June 14, 1940, is considered the beginning of the German concentration and extermination camp in Auschwitz. The first transport of prisoners included a large group of people who had attempted to join the Polish armed forces being formed in France. Along with them, the organizers of the transfers were also sent to KL Auschwitz. Every year on this day, we commemorate the National Day of Remembrance for the victims of German Nazi concentration camps and death camps. 85 years ago, 728 Poles crossed the threshold and passed through the gate bearing the words Arbeit macht frei. They walked from the sunshine. It was a beautiful day, and entered a torture chamber. They are no longer with us. The transport to Auschwitz included people arrested during roundups, activists of political and independence organizations, civil servants, scouts, high school graduates, and other representatives of the Polish intelligentsia. We are here, as we are every year, to remind everyone that Auschwitz was a camp established by the Germans for Polish people, and that Poles were the second largest group of prisoners murdered at Auschwitz-Birkenau. Let us remember that at least 70,000 Poles were murdered here, and of course many, many more Polish citizens. There were thousands of Polish Jews who were also Polish citizens and who also died in Auschwitz-Birkenau. During the roll call by the deputy camp commander Karl Fritsch, the prisoners heard the following words: "You have not come here to a sanatorium, but to a German concentration camp, from which there is no other way out than through the chimney. If anyone doesn't like it, they can go straight to the barbed wire. If there are Jews in the transport, they have the right to live no longer than 2 weeks, priests 1 month, the rest 3 months." The prisoners, survivors of the German death camp, ask for only one thing. I promised them in casual conversations, because they were very worried about what would happen if they died, that no one would remember them. And I said that we are here, we will definitely remember. I don't want anyone to say that it was a Polish concentration camp. No, it was a German camp. 239 people from the first transport survived the hell of Auschwitz. Some were released after several months. Others were there for over 4 years. This tradition dates back to the 16th century. Military units consisting of approximately 1,400 soldiers, 200 horses, and orchestras with around 400 musicians gather at Parade Square. Behind them, members of the royal family ride in a procession from Buckingham Palace, the monarch following at the end. Duchess Kate and soccer player David Beckham also attended the ceremony. During the parade, a minute's silence was held to honor the victims of Thursday's Air India plane crash, which has so far killed 279 people. Members of the royal family wore black armbands during the parade. A Boeing 787 flying from Ahmedabad in western India to London shortly after takeoff suddenly descended and crashed into a building. Parade participants were able to sign a book of condolences.